Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Welcome back to Wrestle News 365. Hope everyone is doing very, very well. Hope everyone enjoyed NXT TakeOver 30 tonight on the WWE Network. Lots of interesting things going on tonight on NXT TakeOver. We got title changes, first time evers, lots of really exciting stuff happened. This isn't going to be your, traditional review. We're not going to break things down completely. I think those, there's a million of those on YouTube. So it's just more of an overall thoughts, a reaction, some highlights, some big moments, and ultimately your opinion. So if you've got any opinions or your thoughts on tonight's show, be sure to share that in the live chat or in the comment section whenever you watch this video or this stream. So overall, look, you can't. These NXT TakeOver shows, they're always great. They're always great and they're always fantastic to watch. The in-ring quality is there to be seen. I think NXT's biggest issue is just the week-to-week, isn't it? I watched NXT live on Wednesday this past week. Don't usually do that because I usually watch Dynamite on Wednesdays. I usually catch up with NXT after. But I watched NXT live this week and I wouldn't say it was a difficult watch, but some segments were a bit tough to watch, and the pacing of the show was quite slow. But then you watch an NXT takeover like tonight, and it just completely blows you out the water. It was absolutely superb. Obviously, some matches were better than others, but I thought top to bottom as a show, I thought it was just a great watch. I shout out to their production team as well. I thought the production of NXT TakeOver 30 tonight really stood out to me. Obviously, it took place from Full Sail University. You had the Performance Center recruits in the crowd as well. But even so, I thought the set looked fantastic. I thought the pyro that they used, they had fire as they used for their pyro. They had a custom set. They used. You remember at WrestleMania 30? And you had the 3 X's. Essentially, it was a similar version of that. So they had the 3 X's there to represent NXT TakeOver 30, and I thought the set looked great and the production was great. So absolute credit to WWE for that. I thought that was really impressive. So let's go through the matches and the results, and we'll talk about what happened tonight. From the top as well. If you want to support Wrestle News 365, you can do that. We are accepting donations tonight. That is at streamlabs.com/Wrestle News 365. That's streamlabs.com/Wrestle News 365. You don't have to donate. It's just more of supporting the channel. We don't have Patreon or anything like that yet. So if you enjoy our content, if you enjoy our videos, you can donate at streamlabs.com/Wrestle News 365. So, first match was on the pre-show. It was a number one contenders triple threat tag team match to determine the number one contenders for the NXT Tag Team Championship. You had Breezango going against Legado del Fantasma, going up against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. Match itself was fine. I've been quite critical recently, to be honest, about the NXT Tag Team division. I just think the NXT Tag Team division reflects WWE's tag team division, quite frankly. It's not great. It's not great. There's a lack of great tag teams, a lack of focus, and a lack of booking. Every time I mention this, I have to preface this by saying I don't want to turn this into an NXT versus AEW thing, because everyone does that. But if you compare the two divisions, it's night and day. And I think that is a fair comparison, considering that when people compare AEW's women's division, they compare it to NXT and they compare it to WWE, and NXT and AEW's women's division, it's night and day. Like NXT's women's division and WWE women's division blows AEW's out of the water. So I think it's only fair to compare tag team divisions, and the tag team division in NXT and WWE just isn't very good. It's lacking. But we had the number one contenders match on the pre-show here. We had Breezango get the victory. The victory came when Tyler Breeze hit a super kick on Oney Lorcan for the pinfall victory. So it's going to be Breezango versus Imperium, I guess, in the future for the NXT Tag Team Championships. To be honest, it doesn't do anything for me. It really doesn't do anything for me, that feud. Nothing against Imperium. Of course, we had the news tonight that NXT UK is going to be returning in September. They're going to be doing taping from BT Sports Studios, so that's exciting that that's coming back. I don't know if Imperium are going to be part of that, because of obviously when you fly in now from the United States, what does that mean? Because if you fly in, you're going to have to quarantine. I don't think the US is on the UK's sort of safe list over here at the moment. So if you fly in, you have to quarantine for a couple of weeks. Or they might not even let you in at all. So I don't think we're going to see Fabian Eichner or Marcel Barthel on the NXT UK tapings. We know that Walter will be there, but I don't know about them. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. Before we get into the actual main show here as well, I think it's important to state that Corey Graves was on commentary tonight. He was obviously part of the first NXT TakeOver event on the network, so they framed it as it's Corey Graves returning to NXT. He commentated on the first show, so he should commentate on tonight's show. But it meant that it was Corey Graves, Beth Phoenix, and Vic Joseph, no Mauro Ranallo. Now, obviously, there's lots of different ways you can look into this. One being that last year, Corey Graves made some comments about Mauro Ranallo, and they were, in my opinion, I think they were unnecessary. I don't think he really intended to hurt Mauro Ranallo, but they were distasteful and they were wrong. And Mauro Ranallo's got a history of mental health issues, and he's bipolar. And I felt at the time, and I still feel now, that Corey Graves needed to be a lot more courteous, and it was unnecessary. Now, that was made last year during NXT TakeOver War Games. That caused Mauro Ranallo to miss Survivor Series the following night and actually miss a couple of weeks of TV. So once I heard the news tonight that Corey Graves was going to be part of NXT TakeOver, my initial thought was, is Mauro going to do commentary with him? Is that brushed under the carpet now? Is that, has that been sorted? Well, we didn't have Mauro Ranallo. Now, I'm not going to jump to conclusions and say that this was because Corey Graves is on commentary. We don't know that. There were rumours that potentially Mauro might have been running a fever as well. So that's possibly why he did it. I know people will say, well, maybe it's because of the travel into the show. Beth Phoenix did her commentary from home too. So I don't think that's the issue there. I'm sure we'll find out some in the coming days. Mauro Ranallo is so synonymous with NXT, and especially the NXT TakeOver events at this point, that having him not on commentary is just a big miss for me. I'm a huge fan of his work, and I think he's up there as one of the best commentators around at the moment. I really think that highly of him, so it was a shame to not have Mauro on there. That was a shame. So first match, we had Finn Balor, Timothy Thatcher. We had Finn Balor get the victory after the 1916 DDT for the win. I really enjoyed this match. I'm not going to say I wasn't looking forward to it coming into it, because I was, because we knew it was going to be a great match. The thing that I was critical coming into this with was that what's Finn Balor doing in NXT at the moment? He returned last year to much fanfare and everyone was excited, and to be honest, he's had the TakeOver matches against the likes of Matt Riddle. He's had feuds with Johnny Gargano and all of that great stuff. Was going to have a feud with Volta and Imperium. But it just feels very underwhelming. It feels very underwhelming with Finn Balor in NXT at the moment, in my opinion. But this match, we knew it was going to be great. And it was. Timothy Thatcher, I'm a big fan of Timothy Thatcher. I think his work's great. It's snug. I think his facials are just absolutely fantastic. His facials are great. They are so great. Anytime he did a close-up on his reactions or his facials in this match, it was brilliant. It really was brilliant. So really enjoyed that. And this match was stiff. It reminded me of a Japanese style. It wouldn't have been out of place in the Tokyo Dome or anything like that. Real stiff, solid Japanese style worked match. Great opener to the show. Just really enjoyed it. There was not a lot to say. There was lots of great holds and back and forth moments. I think Balor going over is the right call, because either Finn Balor needs to be built up and challenged for the NXT Championship, or he needs to go back to Raw and SmackDown. Because I don't think it's the booking fault of Finn Balor so far. The issue in NXT is just he doesn't really feel like he's doing anything of substance. He feels like he's just there. I don't want to say he's going through the motions, but the thing is with Finn Balor at the moment in NXT, nothing stands out. And I think they thought that he was going to be the focal point of NXT during the Wednesday Night Wars. I think they thought he was going to be the focal point in going up against AEW, and that's just not been the case. He's still on a main roster contract. He's still on main roster money, so I don't think he cares. He's doing less dates and he's still making the same money. It's a pretty sweet deal from Finn Balor's point of view. But I think they need to get the most out of their money, WWE, and by doing that, you need to give them good creative and feature him in more spots. So I think that's going to be the case going forward. Obviously, we had the NXT title change later on in the evening. I would like to see a Finn Balor versus Karrion Kross in the future. Spoiler. But they have to build him up first. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see with that one. So next we had the ladder match for the vacant North American Championship. Damian Priest, Cameron Grimes, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, and the Velveteen Dream. Now this was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Going into these matches, again, very similar to the Finn Balor Timothy Thatcher one, going into these matches that they're going to be great. We've grown accustomed now to these ladder matches being great on NXT takeovers, and that was no different here. It was a great match. Some of the spots in here were great. I must touch on Velveteen Dream here because once again, and it was the same this past week on NXT. Once again, hashtag Fire Velveteen Dream was trending. Definitely over here in the UK. I don't know if it's worldwide. I'm assuming it's worldwide. But Fire Velveteen Dream was trending. Shotzi Blackheart was actually in the crowd, and she was cheering on Bronson Reed and shouting "Thick Boy" and all that sort of stuff. And she actually was favoriting some tweets by some of the fans on social media. And one of them said, "Oh, I love that Shotzi Blackheart is cheering for Bronson Reed, and not that paedophile Velveteen Dream." She's liking that. So it would imply that there is some serious heat on Velveteen Dream from the roster at the moment, and obviously it's serious heat from the fans. Now, post-show, Triple H was asked about this on the media call. They said, Fire Velveteen Dream was trending again. What are your thoughts? His response to that was, there's nothing that needs to be said about it. I've said all needs to be said. And that's basically what he said the other day about, we looked into it, there's nothing there. I don't like that response. I don't like that response from Triple H. I don't need to say anything else. What's been said is already been said. If your audience isn't comfortable with it, if it's trending that they're not comfortable with it, and you've got people on the roster that aren't comfortable with it, you need to address it. I don't think the way they've handled this is the best way. Now, I'm not saying I'm not part of cancel culture. I'm not the same as people online. I'm not saying, oh, you have to fire Velveteen Dream, because who knows? You don't know if he's done anything or not, right? There's a lot of smoke to the fire there, but until anything's properly proven and the police have fully got involved and all of that sort of stuff, it's a difficult situation. I get that. I still think that WWE just needs to take him off TV. Take him off TV for 3-4 months. I know that's not ideal, but this isn't an ideal situation. And I think that they need to act with more clarity. I think they need to address it a bit more. Them just saying, oh, we take it very seriously, but then not commenting on it afterwards it's an oxymoron. It doesn't make sense. So this will continue to go on and on until they address it. And again, I'm not saying it's going to lead to the Velveteen Dream being fired or anything like that. But what I do think WWE needs to do is a bit of damage control here. And whether that's taking him off TV for a while, sending him to a counselling rehab, they've got to do something. And I think that they will soon, because it's taking away from the match here. Look, we're talking about the ladder match here, and the first thing I've spoken about is the Velveteen Dream. It's nothing to do with the match, really, apart from one participant in it. So that shows that it is an issue, and it is taking away from the match. Now, the match itself was very, very good. We got the winner and new North American champion was Damian Priest. Damian Priest, the finish was, it had Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest up there. They did the classic, unhook the belt. They're pulling both of it. They both got one hand on it. They're pulling on it. And Damian Priest pulls it away and becomes the new North American champion. I think Velveteen Dream. See, it's on my mind constantly. Damian Priest was my prediction, one of my predictions to win this one, and I think it's absolutely the right call. He has been improving rapidly over the last year or so, and I think we've said this about a lot of guys in NXT in the past. Oh, when they go to the main roster, they're gonna be huge stars. Vince McMahon's gonna love them. They're gonna make so much money, and a lot of the time it's not the case. Maybe we look at them from an NXT point of view and forget that Vince McMahon doesn't care what they've done in NXT. All he cares about is if he can build them in his own image on the WWE main roster. But what I will say is Damian Priest is going to be a huge star on the WWE main roster, because you know for a fact, Vince McMahon is looking at Damian Priest, looks at the guy that's he's close to 7 foot tall. He's like 6'10" or something like that. Good looking guy, good physique, can cut a promo, can work. Vince McMahon's going to look at this guy and go, wow, this guy can be a star. He's a Vince McMahon guy. You look at someone like King Corbin. King Corbin didn't have a lot of success, really, in NXT. No championship runs, right? He was involved in main events, but nothing spectacular. And look at the success he's had on the main roster. And I think Damian Priest is going to be potentially even bigger. I think Damian Priest is going to make so much money in WWE. I really think so. And he has been improving significantly over the last few months. He really has. I think back to his match against Finn Balor at NXT TakeOver in your house. He lost that match, but there was a lot of people talking about how good he was in that match, both on social media but also in the WWE. As part of that media call afterwards, Triple H said that Damian Priest had really stepped up in that match, and whilst he might have lost tonight, he sort of won in the future. And it's very prophetic, because you can tell that match against Finn Balor caught Triple H's attention, and a couple of months later now Damian Priest is the NXT North American champion. So that says a lot for what Triple H thinks of him, and I think it was the right call. I do think it's the right call. That's the person in the match. Maybe Cameron Grimes, but I think Cameron Grimes doesn't need a title. He's the chicken crap heel. So I think Damian Priest going over in this one is absolutely the right call. And like I said, I think he's going to make a lot of money in the WWE later on. I really do. So shout out as well to Bronson Reed, who I thought was tremendous in this match. A real standout performance from him. They did a spot where Candice LeRae came out to help her husband, Johnny Gargano. Johnny Gargano's on the mat, and Bronson Reed is at the top of the ladder. Candice LeRae jumps on his back. He does a splash off the top of the ladder with Candice LeRae on his back. Awesome spot. Just a great spot. Bit of a scary spot as well with Cameron Grimes and Johnny Gargano. Went for the sunset flip bomb on Gargano, but they kind of just sort of clipped the ladder as opposed to landing on it. That was a scary spot. But I thought, just as performers in that match, Damian Priest, Bronson Reed, and Cameron Grimes all stood out. So really enjoyed the ladder match. They did have a spot, actually, which Velveteen Dream sort of got pushed off the ladder and was meant to go over the barricade and onto the table, through the table, but it was just shot so badly that they missed it. The camera angles and the cameraman just missed it, which was a bit disappointing. He disappeared quicker than his tweet history, apparently. Yeah, that was strange. But I saw some people going, "Oh my God, can you imagine if Velveteen Dream's going to win it?" Never in a million years, considering everything that's gone on with Velveteen Dream at the moment. Would Velveteen Dream get a title in WWE? I think he's probably lucky to be in the match at all. So yeah, it was a very good match though, and very happy that Damian Priest is the North American champion. I think that's absolutely the right call. So next we had Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee making his in-ring WWE debut, former NFL punter. The guy's played in the Super Bowl. Going into this, like I said, I'm actually a really big fan of Pat McAfee. I think his work, and I'm not an NFL guy, right? I know of the NFL and occasionally watch, maybe the Super Bowl or the playoffs, but I'm not. I'm over here in the UK. Football means something different to me over here. But I was a big fan of Pat McAfee for his work in this feud with Adam Cole. I think his mic work has been tremendous. It's been really, really good. And some people have just been not giving him the credit that he deserves. Some people saying, well, he's an outsider, he's an outside sports guy. Some people are just so territorial when it comes to professional wrestling, and it comes to outside people that aren't in the business coming in. They get so angry, and I don't understand it. Floyd Mayweather, Tyson Fury, people go nuts. How dare he take a spot from whoever? It's like, well, you have to realize what they're bringing to the table. Pat McAfee coming in brings in an audience of people that might not watch professional wrestling, but they know Pat McAfee because the guy played in the Super Bowl and was like a Player of the Year punter. People that criticize that don't understand business. And I never understand that. People said the same about Tyson Fury. Why? Why would you bring him in? Maybe because he's an undefeated world champion heavyweight boxer. It's just people that criticize that. It absolutely baffles me. It baffles me because coming into this, not only did I think Pat McAfee did a great job selling the match on the microphone, but you were excited because you didn't know what you were going to see. you were like, wow, this is going to be interesting. I wonder if Pat McAfee can pull it off. Spoiler, he not only pulled it off, but it was the best match on the show. And I'm not saying that's all Pat McAfee, because it wasn't. It was, a lot of it was Adam Cole, but it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. Some of these spots in this match, this wasn't your traditional celebrity or pro athlete comes in, bells and whistles. This was a straight up singles match, and Pat McAfee worked in this match. They did spots, they wrestled. Pat McAfee leapt from the top turnbuckle, hitting a swanton to the outside, taking out a group of pro footballers and taking out the Undisputed Era. It was awesome. They were doing spots in the ring. There was this spot in here that was, honestly, I was stunned. I was honestly stunned by it. So they Pat McAfee takes Adam Cole up to the top turnbuckle. He's going for a superplex. Adam Cole fights back, shoves Pat McAfee. The guy does a backflip off the top turnbuckle and lands on his feet. That's not impressive enough, right? So he does that. That's incredible. Adam Cole sells this brilliantly. He's shocked. He's staring, his eyes wider. He's staring at Pat McAfee going, what the hell? Pat McAfee runs and then jumps in one leap straight up to the top turnbuckle, then hits a superplex on Adam Cole, gets a 2 count. Just incredible. Unbelievable spot. And then they did like the punt. Pat McAfee hit the punt on Adam Cole. He kicked out. Pat McAfee went for a punt with Adam Cole's head against the ring steps. Adam Cole moved away. He kicked the ring steps. Sold it tremendously. The finish hits with Adam Cole hitting the Panama Sunrise, which, again, Pat McAfee took tremendously for the 3 count. Match of the show. Honestly, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. This isn't a one and done thing for Pat McAfee. Like I said in the preview going into this, Triple H had said quite a few times that he's spoken to Pat McAfee, and this isn't a one and done thing. This isn't Pat McAfee going, oh, I've achieved my dream, that's it. Pat McAfee said, no, this is something I want to do. You know, and if WWE is willing to accommodate his schedule, they asked Triple H about this in the post-show as well. They said, what's the status of Pat McAfee now? And he said Pat McAfee not only knocked it out of the park, but when they first had the conversations with Pat McAfee, this was years ago, when Pat McAfee first was coming into NXT to do the pre-shows and some commentary, he said to him, I want to be a weapon. I want to be a guy. I want to be a big talent for you. I want you to get the most out of me, and I want to help you build this brand. And Triple H was under the assumption, oh, okay, that's a commentator, that's on the pre-shows, that's on the post-shows, etc. He didn't realize that Pat McAfee wants to wrestle. So this isn't the only time we're going to see Pat McAfee wrestle. And I think that is evidence in his performance tonight. Give Pat McAfee more time. He could be really, really good. He's a natural athlete. He's a high caliber athlete. The guy's played in the Super Bowl. So people, again, I really hope that people will give Pat McAfee credit tonight, because he shut those people up that just every time there's an outside person comes in, whether it's sports, entertainment, whatever, that moans and groans because you've got to have their precious wrestlers in those big spots. I hope he shut all of them up, because he was brilliant tonight. And a huge credit also to Adam Cole. Adam Cole absolutely carried the match. Some people suggested, it was just too choreographed. Well, you know, it is a guy that has hardly any experience. For a guy that's had a few weeks of training under his belt, cut the guy a little slack. It was very good. And like I said, it was the match of the night on a very good show. So I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I thought it was absolutely superb. If you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It was absolutely great, and Pat McAfee absolutely stole the show. And I want to see him in an NXT ring again. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. The story they told was great. That match, honestly, had no business being that good. It had no business being as good as it was, and it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed that match. Pat McAfee, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Match of the show. For your SummerSlam tomorrow, you're looking at that match going, how do we top that? Because honestly, it was that good. And I'm not blowing smoke. It was absolutely tremendous. Really enjoyed it, because it was a spectacle. That's the point. It was a spectacle. This is the thing with these matches. People get so angry. How dare an outsider come in? It was a spectacle. No one knew how well Pat McAfee was going to do. And I think a lot of people tuned in to watch him fail. And not only did he not fail, he exceeded, and he shoved it up the behinds of everyone that thought he was going to fail. Because it was brilliant. It was an absolutely fantastic match. Absolutely fantastic. So credit to Pat McAfee. I thought it was absolutely superb, and credit to Adam Cole and everyone that put that match together. Absolutely superb. So after that match, we had the NXT Women's Championship on the line. Io Shirai defending against Dakota Kai. For a while, I felt a little bit sorry for them, to be honest, because following that Pat McAfee match was tough, and I think it took a while for them to get into it. It was a long match, but eventually they hit their stride, and it was very, very good. He had a lot of close near falls. Obviously, Dakota Kai had Raquel Gonzalez in there. You had a ref bump in there as well. Once the ref bump happened, Raquel Gonzalez gets involved. You think Dakota Kai is going to steal the victory. Io Shirai kicks out. But then eventually we get to the finish. Io Shirai goes to the top rope. She knocks both down, Dakota Kai and Gonzalez on the outside, rolls Dakota Kai back in the ring, hits the moonsault, gets the victory. Like I said, great match. I wouldn't say it was match of the night because I think that's Adam Cole and Pat McAfee, but it was very, very good. The women's division in NXT, just again, not to make this an AEW NXT thing or anything like that, but it just blows away. It blows away AEW. It's so good, and Io Shirai is one of the best in the world. I mentioned in the preview that if Io Shirai's not with her remaining time in NXT, I think she should just be NXT Women's Champion because she's that good. Huge credit to Dakota Kai as well. I think that since her heel turn last year at NXT TakeOver War Games, she's been tremendous and she's really improved and grown into that heel role. So huge credit to her too. I thought she was excellent. I just thought the match was really good. Post-match as well, we had what looked like Gonzalez and Dakota Kai beating down Io Shirai, but out comes Rhea Ripley. She has a stare down with Raquel Gonzalez. They have a face-off, so perhaps we're going to get a Raquel Gonzalez versus Rhea Ripley feud in the future, which I'm down for. Look, Raquel Gonzalez, different looking kind of female competitor. She's larger. She works great in that bodyguard role. I think she's, again, another one, a bit like Damian Priest. I think Vince McMahon's going to look at her in the future and go, you know, if she can work and improve on her in-ring work and maybe start to cut a promo, then she can be a lot of money. I really do think so. And interested with the Rhea Ripley one, because Rhea Ripley was one of the people that I thought would possibly be called up to Raw or SmackDown post SummerSlam, but maybe that's not the case. Maybe we're going to see something a little bit different, and maybe Rhea Ripley is going to stay in NXT for a little while longer. Now, after this match, as I mentioned, we got the NXT UK returning announcements, returning on September 17th. We also got a promo that Tommaso Ciampa is returning to NXT on Wednesday. Tommaso Ciampa, of course, hasn't been seen since NXT TakeOver In Your House when he got roundly defeated by Karrion Kross. There was rumours that he was going to be part of Retribution, wasn't there? That's why he was written off TV. Maybe not. Maybe Tommaso Ciampa is indeed going to be staying with NXT for the rest of his career. So finally, we get the main event. We get Karrion Kross versus Keith Lee, NXT Championship. This was a strange one, so I'll go to the finish first. And then we can talk about the match. So, finish, we have, of course, Karrion Kross becoming the new NXT champion. We had what essentially was Karrion Kross hitting a big Doomsday Saito suplex on the second rope to get the pin out of nowhere. The finish was very, very flat, and I think a lot of people were a bit sort of, shocked that was the finish. Karrion Kross was selling his shoulder a lot through the match. Some people thought that it was just a sell job on the arm. Turns out he does actually have an injury. This was confirmed by Triple H on the post-show. He said that it looks like it was a separated shoulder. Karrion Kross is going to have an MRI. WWE.com have now ran an article about it. It said, quotes, WWE medical staff confirmed that Kross sustained a separated acromioclavicular. This is the problem when I try and read anything medical at like 5 a.m. in the morning over here. Myoclavicular joint during his battle with the Limitless One. Despite the injury, a determined Kross took down the champion, showing incredible toughness by lifting Lee for a devastating Doomsday Saito off the middle rope to claim the NXT Championship. Kross will have an MRI on Monday to determine the full extent of his injury. In terms of the match, like I said, I thought the match was I thought the match was okay. I will say I thought the match was okay. I thought in places it was very slow and could have been a lot better. It was just a different style of match. It was a big man match, two big guys going up against each other. But I think we've become accustomed to Keith Lee working the big man. When he's had big man matches against the likes of Dominik Dijakovic, he works like a cruiserweight, and he didn't in this one. Now, that's not to say that that makes a match good or bad. It was just a different adjustment, and it felt slow in places. Maybe that's because of Karrion Kross's shoulder injury, that it slowed the match down significantly. I just felt like it didn't click between them. It's not that it was a bad match by any means like that. I just felt like it was slow and it was very methodical. And given the matches that went before it, it just didn't feel in keeping with the show in terms of the psychology and the speed and the tempo of the show. That's what I would say about this match. Also, as well, I suppose a lot of the question goes about Keith Lee now, because Keith Lee ends Adam Cole's run as NXT champion. Adam Cole's champion for over 400 days, over a year as champion. When Keith Lee beats Adam Cole, he's the NXT champion and North American champion. And like a month later, he hasn't got any titles. He vacated the North American title and he lost the NXT championship in his first title defense. Some people are angry about that, and obviously it's a bit disappointing, but I think there could be potential reasons as to why they've done this. One, the way they've built up Karrion Kross, the way they built him up, he had to win. The way that they've pushed Karrion Kross, he can't lose. The guy's destroyed everyone he's touched. He faced Tommaso Ciampa, destroyed him. Everyone he's faced, he destroys in a couple of minutes. If he then faces Keith Lee and loses, then I don't say that's him done, but that's a real issue for him. So if anyone's going to do the job here, it had to be Keith Lee. So I don't necessarily have an issue with that. I have an issue though if Keith Lee is staying on NXT. If he's now going to be going to Raw and SmackDown post SummerSlam, which I think he will be, then I don't have a problem with it, because the NXT Championship and the North American Championship is just another string to his bow. It's another accolade on his CV that they'll say once he goes on Raw and SmackDown. They'll say, oh, Keith Lee, former NXT champion, former North American champion, etc. That's what they'll say about him. So I do think he'll go to Raw and SmackDown soon, and I think that's the reason why he's dropped the title here. If not, then just the booking is very, very bizarre. In terms of the injury for Karrion Kross, sucks. It absolutely sucks. Let's hope it's nothing too serious. As I mentioned, and they mentioned in the article, he's having an MRI on Monday. So if it is serious, we'll find out. I just hope it's not a Finn Balor situation whereby he wins the title and then he has to vacate it straight away because of an injury. If that is the case, then that really sucks, because it's obviously the biggest moment of his career. He said the same to Triple H. It's the biggest moment of my career. Thank you and all that sort of stuff. So let's hope it's not serious. Let's hope it's just... The problem is nowadays, back in the day, if you separate your shoulder, dislocated your shoulder, you'd still work. Nowadays, if you separate a shoulder, dislocate a shoulder, it can tear labrums, it can tear ligaments the way it pops out. That's what happened to Finn Balor. Finn Balor dislocated his shoulder with the buckle bob onto the barricade by Seth Rollins at SummerSlam in 2016, popped it back in, finished the match and all of that sort of stuff, but then he was out for 9 months? So let's hope it's not serious, but it doesn't look good. That's what I would say. It doesn't look good. So, and if he does have to vacate, that would suck. And then what happens to Keith Lee then? Because both of the guys you've got in the main event aren't with the brand anymore. Very confusing time. So that sucks. But the ending image of Karrion Kross holding up the title and having the fire and all that sort of stuff, I enjoyed that. And like I said, I thought the production was great on the show. I thought the production was really, really good. So credit to everyone involved in that, and credit for an absolutely great show. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on NXT TakeOver 30? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys on the channel. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button as well. It really just help us out here on YouTube. Get up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen the videos before. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Afterwards, we'll add on an extra subscribe button along with another video for you to watch. We're closing in on 700 subscribers. I think we're only like 4 subscribers away at this point from 700 subscribers. The aim is to get there over SummerSlam weekend. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. If you have subscribed, just know that I really do appreciate it. You can also follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are on the screen right now. The links are in the description box below. It's at 365 Wrestle on Twitter and at Wrestle News 365 on Facebook and Instagram. So be sure to give us a like or a follow there if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.